All right, everyone, we are here with War 8 against 4 Loki. Pretty big deal. The number 1 playing the number 3. 4 Loki is in first at the moment. We are sitting at third. Today we'll be taking in Apocalypse, Nebula, and Cable, and I will have half of Path 5 and Path 2. Half of Path 5 in Section 1 and Path 2 in Section 2, and 1 mini-boss on Boss Island. So Fury here, we're going to get the war started off with Apocalypse. We have, I believe, full suicides on for this fight and mutant boosts, power back boosts, and we're going to use a PS1. In theory, I didn't probably need the PS1, but it helps to make sure that I'm already at SP3 when the timing is right. So my game plan here was to heavy when protection was up, and then just light him up from here until I get to SP3. And we're going to basically rinse and repeat that. I'm going to get a few reparries off my block, hoping to push him to SP2 instead of letting him throw SP1. But what I really want to do is to kill off his life model decoy while I have SP3. And the way I want to kill it off is I want to make sure that there's just enough health left that if I heavy to remove ebb and flow knockdown, that I have the big fury buff while he's healing back. And I'm going to wait until that fury buff is almost expired and that he's lost quite a bit of health, that I'm going to drop my SP3. So here we are, we're being delicate with the last bit of his health here. I'm not going to combo him like crazy. I'm just going to kind of play it slow. And now that the protection's there, I'm going to try and reparry. I'm going to drop this heavy. We're going to have enough time to bait out this SP2, so I'm just going to go ahead and bait it out. And luckily he throws it right here at half the Fury timer. Now we're just going to wait till the Fury timer is almost at the end so that he dies a little bit more. And as we got close, we threw this SP3. Now my hope was that this would kill him, but what you're going to see is, in a stomp, 2%. Not a big deal though, because we came out with our SP3. So with protection up, I just figured, hey, this is going to KO him. It should. Let's just end this fight right now. So pretty smooth, pretty straightforward Apocalypse fight. I'm sure there's more than one way to play this, but that was probably the strategy I had the most comfort level with. Moving on, I had Nebula on my team for this Apocalypse on EMP, and after watching someone take it without Proxima, I had kind of a moment where I figured out a strategy. So I'm basically going to let him die from her shocks, and how I'm going to do that is that I'm going to always dex, make sure I get the dex buff, parry, and then combo. So I'm not focused at getting to SP1 or SP2. I'm focused on making sure that I trigger EMP on him, and that I'm very aware of how many blocked hits I've taken for Bubble Shield. And if I dex, parry, and combo, and I mean full combo, then I'm well aware of how many shock from EMPs I've put on Apocalypse and how many times I've blocked. So here, he threw that with 3 of the EMP charges, so I got 15 charges here, and I dexed, so there's the dex, now parry. Now I know how many blocked hits, and we put this massive number of shocks on him, and he's just melting away. Doesn't look like he is. He might have willpower. It's too hard to tell because I'm max despair. Maybe we'll see it in a parry without the shocks. But same thing there. Now the next set of blocked hits with the dex and the parry, I know that if I push him too far, I'm going to end up with an unblockable hit on an SP1. So I made sure to parry before pushing him to SP1 to 10, and then dex out the unblockable, and then go right back into this plan. And this next set of shocks should knock him out. So I was pretty happy with the strategy I came up with. Seems very solid, and it actually results in no synergies needed and no PS1s needed. So changed masteries a lot, so you're going to see a lot of in-out on the window. Masteries are free, so why not? Here I'm going to take this Modok with Apocalypse. We're going to PS1, and the game plan here, because of auto block, we had my alliance mate Infamous take this. I think it was the second war of the season. So we planned on PS1. And the game plan here is to parry for every hit on the strike counter that you're going to do. So parry heavy, And then I think what I decided to do was parry medium. And we're waiting for him to actually let us parry him, and I'm waiting for that disorient to actually build the immunity. So there's a parry medium, now parry light, parry medium, parry light, parry light. We're gonna bait out this SB1 if he lets us. He didn't, so I did a light there. Then he throws it right here, perfect. And since we're here, I decided to parry. There's the medium for the last one. Now we're good. Heavy, which removes the shield for me. Now I can do a parry, almost a full combo to SB3, and he threw SB1, so perfect, without having to worry about auto block. So we could quickly get to SB3, and with the mutant power back boosts, this should put us at a relatively high special attack to throw an SB3 again. So it got us to SB2, which is perfect. We only have a few block penetration charges, not a big deal at all, even though we are blocking a lot through this fight. But I have max inequity and max parry, so we can mitigate a lot of the block damage from the block penetration with masteries. But I'm going through that same exact kind of rotation that I had. And I could have SB3'd here. I just decided I wanted to wait to reset these debuffs in case this SB3 doesn't knock them out. And I was very happy. I am half suicides here, only the bleed suicide. I was very happy with how this fight turned out because I know Modok can be a pain for Apocalypse there. And Apocalypse just benefits from the disorient immunity. So I placed Horseman on Miles, so I'm not going to be using Apocalypse the rest of the war. Here we're going to just basically blitz this with heavy attacks so that we nuke him down with degen. So all we're doing with Cable for the rest of the war, and the last 3 fights are with Cable, is us just showcasing how ridiculous max boosted Cable's degen is. And you see I used a combat regen because I figured what might kill me on here if it takes too long is the block penetration, which invulnerability is not going to prevent, and I'm not throwing special attacks, so there was no point in PS1ing. I don't want him to go invisible. And down he went before, at the 20-second mark, and before we ran out of our combat regen. So same thing we're going to do here for Manthing. Now Manthing is obviously tankier and there's poison we have to worry about. But really all I had to pay attention to for this fight was the global armor up so that I don't throw a heavy while he's unstoppable and then take unnecessary hits. I did decide to throw on a special 3 defense boost because originally my game plan was thinking I should push him to SB2 because less likely that I'm going to get the buffs he places on you with special attacks. And if I was going to do that, there's a risk with Mystic Dispersion of pushing to SB3. But what you're going to see here is that the AI doesn't really let me push him to SB2. He throws these SB1s pretty much immediately. So with that being thrown out, I figured, heck, let's go ahead. There's the first armor up, and it triggered Unstoppable. So I was just kind of waiting out that timer. And here I'm going to throw one more heavy, knowing that the global is coming, so I'm going to back up. He went Unstoppable again, so only 2 armor ups. And boom, down he went. So Cable Horseman, just ridiculous. I mean, mostly that's just the synergy. And then we changed masteries around so that we had Max Despair and Max Pacify for this bishop here to reduce the possibility of him gaining prowess with every parry heavy. But game plan here was just to parry heavy, keep him under 10 prowess when he gets to SB1, and then bait out SB1, and then wait out the Incinerate aura that he gets from SB1. So maxing Petrify allows us to get more heavy attacks in before he reaches SB1. And here those degens should get him to almost half health. Now we're waiting out this aura. And there he is, about 51% after the first set of heavies. Now that the aura is gone, we're going to go back to it. I missed a parry there, so I heavy retaliate. Luckily, I practiced that. Decided not to there. And yeah, this is just the fight. This is just my war. Last 3 fights were probably the most straightforward, just because Cable can nuke just about anything. Here, since I was close to the wall, I decided to parry heavy. 1 Incinerate's not going to kill me, at least not in the time that he's going to die from degen. So that was the end of my war. So our BG ended up beating their BG 0-2. So we got our second donut of the season. So a pretty good war for our battle group, and also a really good war for the entire alliance. Now, For Loki played a hell of a war, dropping their death count from what their usual death count was for the season. But it's hard to compete when the opposing alliance gives you a perfect war. So shout out to Vega, Lizer, Clown, Sam, all the others in For Loki that I know, and John Irwin from YouTube. Hope you guys enjoyed the war video. This makes the top 3 kind of interesting going forward with the next 4 wars. Hit subscribe, like, follow, and share, and I will catch you at War 9.